Good evening. My name is Chuck Iova, and I'll be presiding over this evening's meeting of the Planning Board, November 13th, 2019. First thing I need to do is I need to read a notice. For those in attendance, under the provisions of the open meeting law, attendees are informed that this meeting is being recorded by MATV. I have not been notified that any other video or audio recording of this meeting will occur. Next thing we will do is if people we can go through the roll and start with Tawadej.
Tawadej Gabrasilase, Planning Board.
Patrick Fitzgerald, Planning Board.
Diane Shuha, Planning Board.
Ken Antonucci, Planning Board.
Chuck Iovan, Planning Board.
Michelle Romero, City Planner.
Eric McCush, Planning Board.
Pat Hayes, Planning Board.
Eric Henry, Planning Board.
Henry Susi, Planning Board.
Very good, thank you. The first item that's on the agenda is 98 Laurel Street. 98 Laurel Street will not be heard this evening. We need to reschedule that to a future meeting due to advertising and notification from the neighbors. So we will not be hearing 98 Laurel Street this evening. Is anyone here for 98 Laurel Street? Very good. But we did want to make that notice for everyone. Advertising notice to the neighbors will go out before the next meeting, and advertising for the to let people know that the hearing is going to be heard. The next item on the agenda is 38 Converse Avenue. Ken, if you could read the notice, please.
The Malden Planning Board will hold a public hearing in the auditorium on the first floor of the John and Christina Markey Malden Senior Community Center, 7 Washington Street, Malden, Mass., at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, November 13, 2019, on the petition of Tuan Nguyen, contractor, on behalf of property owner Jean J. Lacombe, for a special permit under Section 700.1.3.1 of Chapter 12, Revised Ordinances of 1991, as amended, of the City of Malden, seeking to change use of a pre-existing non-conforming property in the Residence A zoning district, namely to change use of the existing building from a 3-family dwelling to a 4-family dwelling by converting the attached garage barn into a 4th residential dwelling unit at the property known as and numbered 38 Converse Avenue, Malden, Mass., and also known by City Assessors Parcel ID number 069321110.
Thank you, Ken. Is the petitioner present? So the petitioner is not present. We'll give them a second. What's that? Excuse me, are either of you gentlemen the petitioner for 38 Converse Avenue? Yes, sir. If you could come up, please, and give your presentation. Identify yourself. I'd like to ask everyone, identify yourself for the record, your name and address. If you step away from the microphone, when you step back to the microphone, just say your name so we can track who's talking for the recording. And I encourage all planning board members to make sure they speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Tuan. I'm located in 1248 Randolph Avenue in Milton, Mass. I'm here. I'm a licensed professional engineer. I'm here to represent my client, Jean, to convert the existing 38 Converse Avenue. Originally, it has 3 units, and there's a barn next to the existing 3 units, and he want to convert into the 4 units apartment. And My
Okay,
client is
can you
Jean.
describe what's going on and what's going to happen, what you're doing to the barn, what the configuration of the barn's going to look like, how
Right
long
now-
it's going to take, that type of thing? Thank you.
Okay, so right now we have a very beautiful barn, as you can see probably on the picture of you seen before, and we try to keep exactly the exterior aesthetically looking on the outside. Maybe we are changing a little bit of the window sizes, but we try to reduplicate the existing aesthetically as much as we can, and we plan to. The barn is actually has a basement underneath that too, so it's pretty much like a very much living condition. But we're gonna insulate it. We're gonna turn into a living space with 2 bedrooms on top, with a bathroom and a half bath in the kitchen on the first floor.
Okay, how long has your client owned the property?
Since 2005.
Sir, if you're going to speak, please come up, name and address for the record.
2005.
Name and address for the record, please.
38 Converse Ave. My name is Jean Lacombe.
Thank you. So you've owned it for 14 years. Okay, I didn't see a basement on any of the plans that I reviewed. Did I miss it?
Actually, there's a basement, but we're not planning to use as a living space down the basement. It's a cross bay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why didn't you put it on the plans that we're reviewing for?
It's probably my mistake because I don't think it's necessary, but there is a basement. So we are planning to add the stair coming down to the basement.
So how would you have that? Would it be coming? How would you get to this basement?
The basement is connected with the.
You know, there's a stair coming up.
It's connected together with the 2 families. So the basement you got to the my rooms. You have a tunnel. You go to the basement. The way they build them.
So only your rooms will have access to the basement
inside,
of the barn?
Inside the basement, the big one, you have a door. You open it. So where they have additional rooms, where I am now, so they have a tunnel open, big, loud, and you have a second door you open to get to the basement.
Okay, but do you go through that little stub?
Yeah, we get to the
Between
big
the main
one.
residence and the barn, is that how you access the basement?
Yeah, you get to the big one. So when you get the big one, if you from outside, it's on your left when you have a door. When you open the door, now you find the basement now. From the additional room, I find where I am now. So inside that room, you see one more door, and when you open it, it's a big basement for the barn.
Okay.
Basically, the basement is connected to the main house.
Yeah.
So it's connected underground?
Yeah, it's connected to the ground. That's what I tried to say. Connected to the ground. This is a big basement like this. When you get there, get a little shrink, and when you get to the barn, it's open because the barn is like this.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the unit that you're proposing, will it or will it not have access to the basement in the barn?
No.
Okay. What's prompting the expansion on your property? Why are you doing this?
Oh, why I'm doing this, since I bought it, I put stuff. It looked like storage for me. And I see it's beautiful, big, stay there, mostly do nothing. It got 2 levels. I said, if I convert them, can give me 2 bedrooms. On feature, it can be my retirement place. I can stay and when the rest.
So you're planning to move in
Yes.
to the barn after it's
After my kids,
renovated?
I got 4 kids. When they move out, So I don't have that big house because I'm living on the first floor. I don't have to stay in that big house, so I can just move there and stay there.
And what's that timeline?
I don't have any plan when.
So it will remain
It is
vacant
something-
until you move
It is
into it?
something, if I finish it now, I will just move out now. I can maybe rent it or rent it to my kids until my retirement time.
Okay,
When
so
the
but-
kids
but-
move out. So now I got the first one already move out. I have 3 with me now. So you can be my next.
Right, but your plan, let's say it's 5 years, your plan isn't to leave it vacant for 5 years.
No, like I said, if I finish it now, I can rent it. If my kid, because I already talked to my first son, he's rented somewhere else. So when I finish this, if you want, I can rent it to you. Until my kid's gone, so I can rent the first floor where I am now, so I can move there.
Okay. How long do you expect the proposed renovations to take place?
I might take maybe a year or 6 months, depend how fast the contractor working.
Okay, so you're not the contractor, right, sir?
No, I'm a licensed professional. I'm just a designer.
So you're the architect and designer.
It's good to be back here. I'm a modern graduated 35 years ago.
Oh, really?
Let's see. Okay, so there's going to be 2 bedrooms in this proposed unit. How many bedrooms will be in the existing structure? How many bedrooms are there, and how many, and then would add 2 to it to get to?
Yeah, based on the drawing that you sent me last night, the first floor has 4 bedrooms, the second floor has 3 bedrooms, and the attic has 2 bedrooms. So the third floor has 2 bedrooms. So the total is 11 bedrooms total. With
Okay.
the 2 bedroom on the addition. So total 11.
Okay. Are you aware that the lot is only 11,800 square feet?
Yes, we are aware of that.
And to do what you're proposing, you'd need 18,750 square feet.
That's why we're here for the relief.
Okay, can you give me a reason why it's almost 40% deficient?
I believe is that the barn is a beautiful structure. It should be utilized as a living space. Right now, it's pretty much vacant, and if you leave it like that, the barn will be structurally deficiency. And I think if we heated that area, it's become livable and it become nice, and it's not detrimental for the neighbor.
So you're not using it for anything? It's empty now?
It's empty now.
It's empty now.
Yeah.
Stuff in it.
Why wouldn't you be using it for parking?
Barn?
Why wouldn't you be using it for
Because
parking?
there's a basement underneath
Cannot
there.
go,
You
it's a
cannot
woods,
use-
cannot go inside.
Because of the basement, you
Yeah.
can't
Yeah,
use
the
it as
basement.
parking?
Yeah.
Okay. How much parking is on the lot right now?
Now we have 4.
You have 4 parking
Yeah.
spots on the
Yeah.
unit?
Comfortable 4.
Are you aware that you would need 11?
Yeah.
How do you plan on adding 7 more parking spaces?
We propose 8 parkings. I think 2 parking per unit. And that's required by zoning.
I believe it's 1 per bedroom.
Oh,
Michelle, can you clarify that, please?
Yes, it's 1 per bedroom. The 3-family, which is grandfathered in, only required 2 per unit because that predates the current zoning. The current zoning is 1 per bedroom. So once you start to change the property, you're reviewed under the current ordinance. So it's 1 per bedroom that's required. So it's a total of 11 that you would need.
And
Well,
you-
that's why we're asking for the zoning relief, because we are planning to keep the green space almost 5,800 square feet. as a green space, and you would use it as a lawn area, and we have to comply with that too. And the maximum we are proposing right now is 8 parkings. So, as
Do
you
you
can
have a parking plan for those 8 spots?
as you can see on the site plan, there's a parking plan on that.
Okay.
And the one on the front.
Okay, do you have the right aisle width? The aisle width? How does someone get from parking spot number 7 or 6 or 5 out onto the street?
They can
Is
back
there
it up.
room to back up and go? Because it doesn't look like there's.
No, they
in the
can
front.
back it parallel out. It's a little bit tricky, but with the compact car, they would do that.
Does it comply with the code?
Yes, as long as the code saying as long you have 15 feet parking and you have another 15 feet, so it's total 30 feet, then you would be able to park your car out.
Okay.
That's for a one-way driveway.
Yeah.
And if it's not angled parking, for angled, you do need the 24-foot width.
So you're 9 feet short on what you're proposing for the parking aisle?
We believe is if we can go in here and go back out like that, it should be sufficient.
Yeah, I think it is a non-conforming layout. I think it's
Okay.
currently non-conforming, and what they're proposing is non-conforming too.
Okay. Is there anyone else that has any questions for the petitioner? Eric McCush.
Thank you very much. You mentioned the foundation underneath the barn. What kind of foundation is it? Fieldstone? Is it poured?
It's a fieldstone.
Is it connected? I mean, is it original to the original house?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah.
And the barn structure, you sort of mentioned if you don't build, you're worried about it deteriorating.
Yes. Yes, we are going to
Is it
reinforce
structurally
the inside.
strong enough to put a 2-bedroom house into
Right now, it's not, but we're going to reinforce that
without dismantling the structure?
without disrupting on the exterior.
Just marrying up 2x6s?
Yep. I'm a licensed structural engineer. I would take care of those parts.
And right in front, like when I was by there, the where the curb cut is, like there's a nice granite blocking there, but it almost makes sense to me. Like, do you consider taking out part of the granite to just make it a double wide driveway to get in?
If you allow us to do that, we would do that. You're talking about a curve cut?
No, not the curb. After the sidewalk, what kind of blocks in where the edge of your property between the sidewalk and the property?
Yeah, we would
There's
do that.
that short little granite wall. Granite, like it's
Yeah,
almost
we
like.
would take it out to make it open.
But that's not part of this plan.
We're not included not now, but since you're raising that question, we will do that according to what you request.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So are you talking about, Eric, in front of parking space 8? See where parking space 8 is, this section here, or you're talking
If you're
about?
facing the street to the right of the driveway, the existing driveway.
Right, where it's labeled 8?
No, where it's labeled 1.
Oh, okay.
Facing the street.
Oh, you're facing the street. Okay, so you're saying this section here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you took out that short little granite wall, it would expand this driveway to give.
Yeah, I think it's prudent to do that, make it wider.
Okay.
to
I see
access.
what you're saying, okay. That would, you would need permission to do the curb cut from DPW, but I see what you're saying to.
But not even so much the curb cut, but there's a short little granite wall.
Right, I can see that in the pictures, right. Okay, thank you. I just had one question.
Yes, go ahead.
The barn, when I was out there, it looks like it's all, the windows on the top are boarded up and the doors look kind of boarded up. What's going on there?
As you can see, the structure is really a little bit deficiency, so they board it up because they are, I think,
Water, will stop water go inside.
it's the water go inside. a little bit.
For water, okay. So is it was missing the windows and doors,
We're
or?
going to revise the window up to code.
Okay.
Yeah, the egress windows, and when you propose the bedroom in there, the window had to be egress. And we're not complying with all of that, include insulation, reinforce the exterior wall, but we're not changing the outside. Absolutely not. We keep the aesthetically outside look the same as before.
Okay, when I was there last week, there was a ladder out back going up to, in the main house, there was a huge ladder going up to the second story or the third. What's going on there?
The ladder is one of the drain, when you have big wind, it's in front of me.
I'm sorry, what is it? Come to, I can't hear you, can you?
One part of the drain from the third floor is go down.
The gutter, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I put that thing to put it back.
Oh,
together.
okay, so you were just fixing the gutter?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak to the petitioner or ask a question? No? Michelle, anything else? No?
No, thank you. Oh, I will just note for everyone's reference, in the staff report, there is a typographical error. The third floor, unit 3, the petitioner did notify me that there were only 2 bedrooms. I made the mistake and wrote 3, so there are 2 bedrooms, so it's a total of 11 bedrooms with the new 2 proposed. So that's a typographical error. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to present?
I hope the board grant is first.
Okay, is that it? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We good to go, or we have to wait?
No, we got to continue with the hearing. Okay. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone to speak in favor? Michelle, do you have anything to read in favor?
No.
Seeing no one that wishes to speak in favor, declare that part of the hearing closed. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone in opposition? If you could one at a time come up to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and try to speak into the microphone, please.
My name is Mike Hansen. I've got a property there on Converse Avenue that we've had for 60 years.
What number?
Number 9 Converse.
9 Converse, thank you. Thank you. Yes?
And over the years, what I've noticed over there, what was a very residential area, which was a quieter street, is now a very busy street with very limited parking. Right now, you can go up Converse Avenue at any time, and it's the cars on both sides all the way up. Even the side streets, Howard Street, James Street, parked all over the place. I can't see how making a precedent of putting 4 families in that neighborhood is going to help. I agree with Michelle. When you look at an apartment today, you could easily have 3 cars per apartment. I know I've got some multis in Malden, Everett, and Medford, and I have the need for around 12 cars for a 3-family house. And I can't see how this is going to benefit the neighborhood at all, adding more traffic, more cars, and potentially even safety issues with for the need of fire and so forth coming up there. And it seems like this is only being added just for the sake of a rent. And once you start getting 1 4-family in there, we're going to be having more and more of them in there, 4 to 8 families. And it's a very residential street. It's a single-family, 2-family, basically neighborhood. There are a few 3 families that were grandfathered in years ago, one of which is the one I have. But I mean, I just can't see having 4 families. And that, I'm familiar with that house because I grew up in that neighborhood and I knew the people that owned it before. And I can't see that accommodating 12 cars. I'm sorry. It's a good-sized lot, but I mean, you're going to have all kinds of cars everywhere and traffic. And this gentleman here that's behind me, he lives across the street. He sees it all the time. They're parked all around him on James Street, Converse, everywhere. I just think it's a bad precedent to start. It's not a 4-family environment over there. I can't even get in my driveway now on Converse Avenue. When I come up around Howard Street to come into my driveway. I get cars parked on both sides of my driveway and across from me. I have to literally loop to get in. So, I mean, I just don't see where the benefit is of having more units and more potential for families on a quiet residential, on a very residential street.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Hanson, one question. Do you reside at 9 Converse Ave?
I don't anymore, but I do have family that's still there. And like I said, I'm over there at least 3-4 times a week, and I see this traffic.
Okay.
I mean, and you know, it's not just, it's a combination. It's a combination of all the two multifamilies, and it's also a combination of the bus lines that are on Main Street, too. It's filtering all the way down that street, and he's going to tell you right now, James Street and Howard Street is loaded also. So I don't know what you're going to do in the wintertime when you can only park on one side.
Right. But your actual residential address, is that 16 Spring Valley Road,
Yes,
Burlington?
16 Spring Valley, yep.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Right, but he owns it, and it sounds like others. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Safwat Mahmood. I am the owner of 43 Converse Ave. Across the street from this property, 38. My problem is, he talk about he has a driveway, and doesn't matter, and doesn't let his tenant parking in the driveway, period. Even in the snow. And now he's going to build another apartment over there. Where these people are going to be parking? They're parking across my street, on James Street, on Converse Ave, and I have a lot of problem with them. It's too much. It's too much. I'm telling you. It's not fair. I live in a single family. I bought this property because it was a nice, quiet property. I was living in Medford for 29 years. Now it's unbelievable. Too many cars, too many people. Plus, he's rented his apartment by the bedroom. Imagine that. By the bedroom.
So can you explain that more, what you mean by that?
When you have an apartment and you don't rent it for family, you rent it for single people. Buy apartment. I don't know how many they live in one bedroom, 1 or 2 people. It's too crowded. People going in and coming out, going in and coming out, and turn around, they turn around. You see different faces everywhere. And too much cars over there. I appreciate if you consider that.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Okay. My name is Yingwu Freeman. I live on 30 Converse Avenue, next door to 38 Converse Avenue. Parking area said, and he has right now have 4 parking spots, but he never let his tenants park in that parking spot. The tenants always park on the street next to my driveway. It's hard for me to pull in and pull out. I already talked to his tenants a couple of times. I said, please park in front of my house. Don't block my driveway. It's hard for me to pull out. I can't see the street. It's one-way street. I don't want to talk to tell people what to do, but it's really hard for me to pull out, my driveway. And there's two more bedrooms added in. I don't know how they fit 11 cars in that parking spot, in his parking spot. Another thing, when my husband and I moved in, there was no house next to my fence. The beautiful bar will overlook my fence, And I have 3 young kids. They play in the yard a lot. The strangers keep moving in, move out. How you feel if stranger overlook at your fence, stare at your kids? I don't have any privacy. I pay a lot of money to live in that single-family house. I want to have comfortable, better living quality. But right now, I don't feel I have that anymore because they're 10 feet away from my fence, that bar. You know, it's bar, it's not house. You want to make more money, but you have to consider other people's feeling. You know, I don't have any privacy. I don't feel comfortable if I pay a lot of money for that house. So that's what I think.
Thank you very much.
My name is Louise Arthur, and I reside at number 26 Converse Avenue in Malden. I'm very concerned about the parking. There's such an overflow that seems to park in front of my house, preventing me from leaving my driveway with any degree of care. I am constantly worried about people parking too close to the driveway. When I go to back out and make my turn, it's next to impossible, and when the weather is bad, it's totally impossible. I have to do a U-turn in my own driveway just so that I can go out frontwards. It's very difficult. And it's cars. I've seen where the people go. They go into this house, and there's just no room for another house on Converse Avenue. I've lived on Converse Avenue 65 years between my mom's house, which was next door, and my house. I know what the neighborhood is like. I've seen it evolve, and I have seen the number of cars quadruple in its terms of over these years, from where it was at one point. A 3-family house would normally have maybe 2, maybe 3 cars. Now it has 7, 8, 9 cars. And in that driveway, I have never seen more than 2 cars, 3 cars possibly parked there at any given time. The driveway comes into a very narrow passage, and then it comes out to the street. I can't even imagine how 11 cars are ever going to fit in that driveway. And there's definitely going to be an overlap on street parking, and we're all going to suffer for it. There's just no room for it. The traffic on our street is dangerous, it's prohibitive, and I strongly oppose allowing a house to be built where there is currently a barn. It's not even a large enough area. You can even call it a garage. It's a barn. And it's just an impossible situation. And there is a certain graciousness about this street that has always existed, and a little care and concern has always been given for the properties, for the most part. This is not going to enhance this neighborhood, not one bit. And I think we need to consider that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition?
Good evening. Good evening, Jim and members of the board. I'm Peg Froy. I live at 9 Hancock Street, Malden, Mass., but I'm also the Ward 1 City Councilor. Lately, I feel like I'm always on the no side of everything, and not that I want to be there because I'm not against redevelopment, but I find myself in opposition tonight as I stand with the neighbors and the residents of Converse Ave who have reached out with the concerns that some, and I think others might have written letters, but in terms of the density, it's currently 37% deficient, and although this does not create more deficiencies, being short 6,948 square feet, adding more people, more use, just exacerbates that situation. As one of the neighbors said, it's really in contrast with the neighborhood. Although the houses are large, they're mostly 1 and 2 families with a couple of 3 families around, and you know, really, again, my least favorite topic is parking. But the proposed plan requires 11 parking spots, as has been noted, and even the plans don't even show 11, they only show 8. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it does represent a 27% shortage, and no one wants 27% more. Currently, it's tandem parking, so although they might have, 4 spots, 4 to 6, it's been, usually there's probably 1, maybe 2, when it's tandem parking. And the proposed parking solution does not have enough parking, as mentioned, and the way it is laid out does require someone to pull out maybe in car number 7 all the way up, all the way back down out into the street. And as the petitioner even said, it's going to be a little tricky. And if they have a compact car, they can do it. Anyone that does not have a compact car is not going to go into the parking lot, into the driveway, into that area. It's already 9 feet short of the width, again, making it tricky. So unless they all have smart cars, and we're not going to be able to restrict that you can only have a smart car if you live at 38 Converse Ave. So it is already spilling out into the neighborhood. As the neighbors have mentioned, the tenants are not allowed to park in the driveway. So those other, if he lives on the first floor of the 4, the other 5 bedrooms don't have parking on the property. And again, I just say I stand with you, stand by the neighbors and who have sent letters and are here, and I think a pretty good crowd. And I urge you to do the same. And thank you for your time and consideration for the neighborhood issues.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Michelle, do you have anything to read in opposition?
Yes, I have 2 letters received, one by email dated November 12th, 2019. It reads, Dear Ms. Romero, we are residents at 26 Converse Ave and feel strongly that this is a detriment to our street. Parking on the street is overcrowded as it is, and this house uses the street for parking instead of the long driveway that is on the property. Many of these cars park at the end of the driveway, my driveway, and this frequently makes it difficult to back out safely. Please do not approve this renovation. It's signed Louise and George Arthur. I know Mrs. Arthur spoke, but I read this because this is also from George Arthur. Also have a letter dated November 13, 2019. It reads, this letter is to oppose the special permit being considered for 38 Converse Ave. 38 Converse Ave is currently a 3-family residence. Jean Lacombe lives on the first floor and rents the second and third floor. My concerns are, 1, parking. Although 38 Converse does have a driveway large enough for 6 vehicles, Mr. Lacombe does not allow his tenants to park in the driveway. The vehicles park on Converse Ave and James Ave. Converse Ave is used as a cut-through when Medford Street is busy. It is very difficult to back out onto Converse Ave, especially in the winter months. Is it possible to review his rental agreements with his tenants to specify how parking is arranged for his units? 2, Mr. Lacombe has high turnover on his units, and sometimes his primary renters sublet their units. This definitely happened last winter. This is concerning to me because I have 3 small children. 3, the garage or barn that is going to be converted is about 10 feet from my property line. I live in a single-family house with a backyard. I will not be comfortable with an additional residence sitting right on top of my property line. My kids spend a great deal of time in my backyard. 4, a 4-family residence will not be simpatico with the design in residences on Converse Ave. The residences on Converse Ave are mostly single-family and 2-family properties. In conclusion, I am strongly opposed to the special permit for conversion of a 3-family residence to a 4-family residence. Thank you for consideration. Signed, Kevin Freeman, 30 Converse Ave. And those are the 2 that I received.
Okay, nothing else.
No.
Okay, I'll give the last call. Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? Seeing and hearing none, I'll declare that part of the hearing closed. Michelle, do you have any general comments to read?
No.
Very good. Mr. Lacombe, could you come back to the microphone? I have a couple questions based on what people had raised. Do you let your tenants park on site?
On summer, when I rent the building to people, on summer I said my kids play when I was little. They play on that space we have. So I tell them, in winter they use it. They can use it anytime they find no parking there. They can use it. And summer too, if they can find any parking outside, they permit to park it inside. But I don't rent them together connect with the parking every day, because the kids I have, they use that space to play basketball.
So you're not using your lot for the parking you need. You're using it for your family's enjoyment.
Yeah, that's what I use now. So, but not, and on winter they use it. On winter I said you cannot find any parking outside, just use it. Even summer too. I say anytime you can find parking outside, use it.
On average, how many cars park in the driveway during the winter?
On winter, second, third floor, 2 or 3 cars. They don't have really.
And how many cars are associated with your property?
How many cars I have myself?
Counting everyone who lives at 38 Converse, how many cars are there?
I know they have the second floor. The second floor have 2 cars. The first floor the third floor have 3 cars. It's just people, previous person, they don't have too much car. They have
So how many cars are associated?
Now 3 plus mine.
So how many do you have? 1?
I have 1 plus 1. Don't use it now. I'm gonna take it out, stand it there. But I have 1 I use all the time.
So there's 4 cars right now associated with your property.
Yeah.
Oh.
The second floor have 2.
You have 2. Second floor has 2, and third floor has 1.
Yeah.
So that's 5.
But one of my I'm gonna set it out. I don't
Okay,
use
but
it.
right now you have 5.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing, and it's a little more disturbing, is can you speak to the person who said that you rent out your apartments by room?
By room?
By room? When you rent out your apartments, are you renting?
I don't rent by room.
To one set of people, or do you?
I rent by family.
So
I got family Lamotte and family Delva up top. I don't rent by room.
So each apartment that you have is a family.
8?
Is a single family.
No. So the top floor, they have 2. They said that when they're gonna have 1 person come in, it's gonna be 3. And then on number 2, they have 3 sons plus wife and kids are 5. That's it.
So on the second floor, there's 5 people.
Yeah.
On the third floor, there's 3.
3. 2, they are gonna have 3 because they're 2 now. They said they're gonna have 3 very soon. But because I have 2 bedrooms, it's a couple. They have 1 empty room.
And how many in your unit?
How many?
How many people in your family?
Is me and my 3 sons.
So there's 4 of you.
4 of us now. One of them in college, but he's come back all the time.
Okay, no, I just wanted to clarify that because you were not supposed to rent rooms.
No, I know rent by rooms.
In an apartment. Okay, Michelle, do you have any questions? No. Eric Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the petition, I was wondering, when do you have your places inspected by the city per ordinance when you have a turnover in property? If you have renters that move out?
I tried that. They said if I'm living there, I don't have that. I don't need to do that. I tried call them because I was living in Chelsea. When I went somebody, I have to call the city for inspection. But they said to me, if I'm living there, I don't need that.
I think that that's true. The rental unit inspection program has certain exemptions if a person lives on the property. I think that applies to at least 2 families, and it may apply to 3 families as well. I'd have to get that verified, but that doesn't sound inaccurate. I think that's definitely a possibility. I definitely know 2 families where one of the units is owner-occupied is exempt. It could be that 3 is too. I could get an answer for you right now if you want, or try to.
It's a great point of clarification,
Yeah.
so I won't overstep. In the
If
future.
I can find an answer, I will let you know.
Why, because I keep my house clean. Because the inspector tell me why it's good for me if I'm call the city check if the people are not mess up the house or they don't want to pay, they want to court. They can say the house was dirty, that. If the city inspected, the Board of Health inspected everything was okay, that little $50 I pay or $60 I pay, they save me a lot of money, a headache. So I know I have to do that. I checked with them. They said, you don't need that because you're living on the property.
Yeah, and I think it's optional, but I don't think it's required.
Okay,
But I'm still going to find the definite answer.
thank you. There was one more question I'd like to follow up with. When you bought this property some 14, 15 years ago, what was the use of the barn, of the garage area / barn then?
They said to me they used to use it to put houses long time, 1880. So when I find them the way it is put a little storage thing. They just put their stuff. They cannot put car there. It wasn't car there because you have the basement. So I use the same way. Put my stuff there now.
That's for storage then. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Okay, while Michelle looks that up, Eric McCush.
Thank you. This might even be like hypothetical, but let's say tenant moves out. Third floor is a 2-bedroom unit. One of the tenants moves out. His friend moves in. Do you have him sign a new lease?
Yes.
Okay.
I give him that. All of them.
Every time?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, anyone else have any other questions? We'll give Michelle a moment to look that up.
Okay, so this is the city ordinance, section 9.40, rental unit inspections. The summary at least says exceptions are made for owner-occupied dwelling units with 3 or fewer units. So I think that's the answer. I'm not going to read the whole ordinance. So it's right now he's exempt. If this is turned into a 4, he would no longer be exempt. You would need to apply, and you would be subject to the rental unit inspection ordinance.
Okay, any other questions for the petitioner? No? Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Michelle, can you take us through your staff report, please?
Yes. So the property, as we heard, is the site of a 3-story dwelling with an attached 2-story barn. The total footprint is 2,626 square feet. It's currently used as a 3-family dwelling. You do have copies of the plans that were submitted with the petition. You should have the site plan that includes the parking plan. You also have the floor plans of the barn and elevations of the barn. They were not required to submit floor plans of the other units because they were not proposing any changes to those units. Petitioner, as you heard, is the owner's architect. The proposal, as you heard, is to convert the attached barn to a 4th dwelling unit. No changes to the other units are proposed. I've given you the layout and configuration based on information that was provided either on the plans and or by the petitioner. As I noted before, there is a typo in here. So there are 3 units, one on the first floor that's 1,920 square feet. It has 4 bedrooms. That's the owner-occupied unit. The second unit is on the second floor. It contains approximately 1,663 square feet and 3 bedrooms. The third unit on the third floor contains 920 square feet and 2 bedrooms. And then the proposed fourth unit is in the barn. It would be on the first and second floors and be approximately 1,258 square feet and contain 2 bedrooms. Here are the plans that were presented, which actually, there's a typo. The second plan that's referenced here is not part of this petition, so you have the set of plans that include the floor plans for the barn and elevation views, and then you also have the site plan for 38 Converse Ave. That's my mistake, typo, delete item 2. That's not part of this petition. For zoning, the property is located in the Residence A zoning district. The property was originally a single family. It was converted to a 3-family in 1940. That was approved by the Board of Appeal under the ordinance at the time. So the 3-family dwelling is legally non-conforming. It is prohibited in this district, but it is grandfathered in. The proposed 4-family residential dwelling use is prohibited in the district. However, it may be allowed by special permit as a conversion of a pre-existing non-conforming use. That is why it's before you tonight. The direct abutter to the east is a single-family dwelling. To the south are 2 2-family dwellings. To the west, a 3-family dwelling. To the north, on the other side of Converse Ave, are a 2-family dwelling and a 3-family dwelling. Surrounding land uses are residential. Nearly all are single and 2 families. There's an occasional 3-family. Further away are on Bellrock Street and Main Street are multifamily dwellings. Dimensional controls: the building was constructed before 1927. It grossly violates most dimensional controls. It is considered pre-existing non-conforming. I won't read this, but this is all incorporated by reference into the record. The layout, the description of all the dimensional controls, compliance. The dimensional controls for 3 families and 4 families are the same. So that's why in many cases you see the existing deficiency is the same as the new deficiency. With the exception, I'll note for open space, although it's the same requirement, 500 square feet per unit, more is required because there would be 4 units. And same thing with density. The lot area required is 3,000 square feet per unit. So for the 3-family, it requires 9,000 square feet. For the 4-family, it would require 12,000 square feet. So this proposal is creating a new deficiency of density, approximately 2%. All the other dimensional control setbacks and frontage, et cetera, lot size, height are all the same. So where there are existing deficiencies, they're maintained. Where there are no deficiencies, there are still no deficiencies. Lot area deficiency was referenced. There is an existing deficiency of 37%, and that would be maintained with the proposal. Front yard setback is the other deficiency, and one of the side yard setbacks. The amount of open space in the rear yard and western side yard, at the time I originally wrote this, I did not have that. We have since been provided with that information from petitioner. So the proposal creates a new violation of density, 2%, maintains all other existing nonconformities. In terms of lawn and yard areas, there are approximately 5,820 square feet, which exceeds the open space requirement. Parking requirements, as I mentioned before, the 3-family dwelling predates the current requirements, requires 6 spaces under applicable zoning. That was 2 per dwelling unit at the time. Currently, there does appear to be parking on site for 5 to 6. They would be single file and tandem. There is an existing driveway, an existing curb cut. It does have an existing non-conforming layout as to parking aisle width. The proposal does require an additional 2 parking space, 1 space per bedroom, and as I mentioned earlier, the whole project is now reviewed under the current ordinance, which is 1 space per bedroom, the whole property, so 11 spaces are required for the 4-family. You heard about the proposal to increase the parking. There would be 8 spaces created. 1 is located in the front yard. That's labeled space number 8 on the plan, and 7 angled along the eastern property line. The proposal creates a new violation as to number of parking spaces, namely a deficiency of 3 spaces. The proposed new parking layout is nonconforming as to aisle width. It will require maneuvering and likely involve backing out into and down the driveway. It will require paving a portion of the front yard and more of the eastern side yard. A question was asked earlier about the aisle widths. So for a two-way, and I may have misspoke earlier, so the angled parking for a one-way driveway is 14 feet. For two-way, it's 19 and goes up to 24. I understand you can only use it one way at a time, but technically, because they're angled, they should be able to have a two-way access point. So it's not a one-way driveway that connects all the way around. It's one driveway that is being used as one-way. So that's why it's being evaluated under the two-way standards. I mentioned the requirements: no more than 50% of the front yard, side yard, and rear yards can be paved, so they must be devoted to lawn or landscaping. I've given you a breakdown of the calculations that I made based on information shown on the plans and provided by the petitioner, looking at the total lot area, the building coverage, what's left over, then what's provided for lawn and yard areas, leaving you with what's parking and paved, or parking and driveway areas. So the proposal does appear to comply with that requirement. The finding you must make to grant the special permit is that the proposal is not more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Michelle, could you go over that definition of what for the aisle width? One way is a 15-foot aisle?
Okay, so depending on how the parking's configured, so if it's 0 degrees, so 0 is actually parallel parking, right?
Yeah.
Parallel. All the way up to 60 degrees.
Okay.
A one-way aisle, so for if you're only having a one-way circulation pattern, so you would come in one way and continue out.
Yep.
So the traffic's only moving in one direction. That would require 14 feet parking aisle. So that's the space between the end of the parking space and the end of the driveway or the parking aisle, whether it's a building or a wall or whatever. So that's the minimum you need to be able to back out and then move forward in one direction.
Okay.
If it's two-way and you have that angled parking, you need a minimum of 19 feet. That would give you enough to turn the car around and then continue.
Okay.
Okay? So that would be a two-way driveway. This isn't, it's being used as a two-way driveway.
Okay.
Right, and then if you're 61 to 90 degrees, so that includes head-on parking and other angle parking, and I'm not sure exactly of the angle of this parking. Maybe if you want that information, the engineer could tell you. But that requires 24 feet for either one-way or two-way. Because again, the parking spot is angled in such a way you need a full 24 feet to be able to maneuver. And that's for one-way or two-way traffic circulation.
Okay.
So
no, that's helpful. It's a part I was
I was calling it aisle, but it's actually a circulation pattern. One-way or two-way.
Okay. Thank you.
And so this is actually a two-way. This is being used for a two-way.
Right.
So I misspoke earlier. It's a two-way circulation pattern that you would need to use.
Okay.
Or I guess if you're backing in and out, it's a one-way. But it's complicated. I get it complicated, so that's it.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Michelle before we move on? Any questions for Michelle? You all set there? Okay, if there are no questions for Michelle, Michelle, can you give us your recommendation?
So the recommendation, which is made prior to the public hearing and made provided that the board makes the required finding that the proposal is not more detrimental to the neighborhood, is that a special permit be granted subject to the following conditions. 1, all development shall be as per plans except as modified by these conditions. 2, the maximum number of bedrooms in the new fourth dwelling unit is 2. 3, the maximum number of bedrooms at the property is 11. 4, no more than 50% of the front yard may be paved and used for parking. Maintain lawn and landscaping and/or landscaping of open space in rear yard, western side yard, and front yard. And 5, provide 11 parking spaces on site. Submit revised site plan with parking layout.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Michelle? Does anyone have any comments? Ken Antonucci.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Michelle, just wondering, so this fifth condition about providing 11 parking spaces, submit the revised site plan with the parking layout, has the petitioner agreed to that?
I sent this to the petitioner. Just to give you a little background, as of last night when I had finalized the report, I still didn't have information about the number of bedrooms. So I had finalized it, and my presumption, which was incorrect, was that those were 2-bedroom units. So I thought the 8 bedrooms would comply, the 8 parking spaces would comply. So the petitioner did respond and sent the information, so I received it this morning, and then I saw that there were more bedrooms. So that got added later, revised. I revised it, hoping to still move forward, but recognizing they should provide the parking. So the petitioner, I did send him a copy of this. So I don't know if he's agreed to it, but I can say that I believe he's reviewed it or he's seen it.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know even if it's possible, but I think that the parking is a serious issue, knowing the number of bedrooms. So,
Is there anyone else have any comments or questions for Michelle? Seeing none, I'll share mine. I think this is an overuse of the property. I think the traffic and the parking and the safety issues associated with this, with people not respecting the 5 feet from the end of a driveway, I think those all add up and exacerbate a tight parking area already. And also for a less than 12,000 square foot lot, I think making it a 4-family and infilling just because there's a structure there, I think it's not in the best interest of the neighborhood, and I think it's overuse of the property. Those are my comments. If anyone else has any other, feel free to share them. If not, no one has any other questions for Michelle. If someone would like to make a motion, Eric McCush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to deny the petition.
Eric McCush has made a motion to deny the petition. Is there a second? Ken Antonucci.
I'll second that motion.
Ken Antonucci has seconded it. Give me a second, Michelle.
So a yes vote is to deny.
Yes. Go to Hayes. Okay.
Ken Antonucci?
Yes.
Diane Chuha?
Yes.
Patrick Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Tawadej Gebrselassie?
Yes.
Patrick Hayes?
Yes.
Eric Henry?
No.
Eric McCush?
Yes.
Henry Susi?
Yes.
Chuck Iovan?
Yes. That
So
petition,
that motion was carried, so the motion passed, but the motion was to deny the petition, so the petition was denied.
okay, so that petition has been denied this evening. Thank you all for coming out, and have a good evening. Oh, and for anyone who's come in since the start of the meeting, 98 Laurel Street will not be heard this evening because we need to send out notice to the abutters and re-advertise. Very good, thank you. Next item we need to discuss is this, well, let's go through our updates first. Master Plan Steering Committee, there's been no meeting, so there's no update. Ken, do you have something from Community Preservation, please?
Yeah, CPC, we're continuing to review the this period's applications. That's all.
Very good. Michelle, if you could tell us about the housing production plan, Broadway corridor, and complete streets.
Yes, so housing production plan advisory committee has not met again, so I don't have any update. The latest is what you have, the housing needs assessment that you all received a copy of, as well as the GLAM calculation. The committee has not reconvened since. The next one is, what is the next one? I don't have the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, Broadway corridor plan.
The Broadway corridor plan. There was a community meeting held. You all should have received an invitation. I sent an email. There'll probably be another community meeting as well coming up. I don't have a date for that. You all should have also received a link to a survey that you all should take. Did everybody get that? It was an email I sent. It said Broadway survey. So I think that's open another week. So if you haven't taken that, go ahead and take it. It might take you a couple minutes, but it's just asking you for input, ideas, some feedback about Broadway. You don't have to live in the area or work in that area, but just be familiar with Broadway. If you do live in the area or work in that area, that's fine too, but participate in that if you can. What's next? I got to get the agenda.
Next one is complete streets, and then Mayor's Working Group.
Complete streets. We met, I don't think there's any new updates since the last time I gave it. We had met, prioritized some additional projects for the next round of funding. That is up on the city website if anybody wants to see which projects were prioritized. We're still working from the same list, though. That list, I believe, is good for 3 to 5 years, so we can't add any new projects to it. We can just move projects up as they're completed. The Mayor's Working Group to review zoning ordinances has not met probably, I don't think we've met fairly recently. We're still working on some commercial rezoning as well as an inclusionary housing piece. So that group has met a little less frequently, but is still meeting. And on that note, not that it's related to that group, but we have been asked, if I could, Mr. Chairman, mention that we've been asked, there is a zoning amendment that's been proposed by the City Council. Council Spadafora, who's chair of the ordinance, is not available to meet at our December 11th meeting, so he's asked us to convene on a special meeting. So I want to check your availability. This would only be to handle the zoning amendment, so we won't take anything else up. So you would have your regular meeting on December 11th, and then the proposed date for the other meeting is December 17th, so it's a Tuesday. We would come here and begin the meeting after the City Council meeting. This will be a joint hearing with the City Council Ordinance Committee. So I want to check everyone's availability because we would need a quorum.
So we would need to be here at 7, and then whenever the Council
Right.
Ordinance Committee is ready for us, we would then
Right.
participate.
I don't think we're going to start at 7, but, you know,
Yeah.
I can't give you a set time. If anybody wanted me to, I could let you know if you were coming from someplace else what time you were starting, but we were posting the meeting for 7. But I don't think it's going to start right at 7. And again, we would take up our regular cases December 11th, and this would only be to handle the zoning amendment, which I believe there's only one. So
Okay.
if people can let me know tonight.
I'm all set. I can make both the 11th and the 17th.
Okay, so check is yes. Anybody else? Both? Both? Everybody?
Which day?
Okay, so hold on, let me start writing this down. Patrick Fitzgerald was no. Diane was no? Okay, Ken was yes. Chuck was yes. Tawadej?
December 17th?
Yes, Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay. Tawadage was yes. Pat Hayes was yes. Eric was yes. Eric was yes. And Henry? Okay.
Okay, and then we have Charlie also. So
I put.
we'll have 8.
Yeah.
We will have a quorum. We should have 8.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Yeah, Charlie, I have to ask. I haven't heard back from, so that's good. Thank you very much. And is everybody okay for the 11th?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you. That was everything. Thank you.
Okay, nothing else new?
No.
Very good. Anyone else have anything? Okay, well, everyone, happy Thanksgiving. And enjoy. We'll see you all on December 11th for our next regularly scheduled planning board meeting, and then again for a special meeting with the joint hearing of the City Council Ordinance Committee on the 17th of December.
Okay.
Thank you and have a good evening.